Okay, Agam, thanks for that. Yes, very flat moves indeed. So let's take some time out from looking at the screens and talk to some more of our guests. Taher Badshah of Motilal Oswal also joins in the last 15 minutes of trade. Taher, hi, good afternoon. You know, I was looking at some of the stocks in your Focus 25 fund, and so many of them have been hitting new highs. So just to pick one, Kotak Mahindra Bank is sitting at a new high today, and you have that stock in your fund. Some of these private sector banks, likes of Kotak, Yes Bank, have been hitting new highs consistently. Do you think there is more upsides in these names?
Well, I think the longer term story for private banks, of course, continues to be sacrosanct, and to that extent there will still be enough room for investors to earn over a longer period of time. But I mean, obviously these banks are not prima facie cheap. They are reasonably rich in terms of valuations, although they have a lot going for themselves as well in terms of both adequacy of capital as well as the quality of assets which are in their favor. So I think for them to come back and grow their assets as and when the system growth permits them to will always be much higher than the rest of the competition, and therefore to that extent there will be a continuing growth premium which will reflect in their valuations growth, as well as the asset quality premium which will reflect in their valuations. So we're kind of, we've all along we've been relatively heavy on many of the private sector bank names in our portfolio, and that has kind of worked out well for us, and we continue to kind of maintain that position.
What about NBFCs, Taher? I mean, they will benefit if there is some extra liquidity that's provided by the central bank tomorrow. In any case, they have been excellent year-to-date performers, MMFSL, SKS, Shriram Transport. Will you all look to add in that pack at all?
Yeah, that's that's another segment where we are significantly optimistic about. However, we have a larger weightage of non-bank financial services companies in our mid-size portfolio, the mid-cap portfolio, and we believe there are good reasons for them also to do well. We've kind of shied away from some of the mid-sized private sector banks or public sector banks, but our tended to focus more on many of the NBFCs which are large and which are fairly reasonably sized, as well as growing at a good clip. I think many of them are well levered to the consumption and the housing theme, or maybe even the commercial vehicle or automobiles theme. So I think that is where they are deriving their benefit from. Of course, they too, as you rightly said, will be beneficiaries of high liquidity in the system going forward, as well as possibility of further moderation in rates. So I think many of these companies are even well capitalized. I mean, we don't really think they are set out for any equity dilution in the near future, and they are addressing the market segments which are relevant, particularly those which are at the mass end or the lower end of the market, and I think that's something which will hold them reasonably strong from medium to long term growth prospects.
Okay, can I get a chart check on that from Ashwini first? I just looked at the BSE 100 and looked at the top 10 gainers year to date. 5 of them are actually NBFC companies. Among them is SKS, MMFSL, Shriram Transport, Bajaj Finance and Cholamandalam. Ashwini, do you still like the NBFC pack for a positional or a medium term investment, and what has the most attractive charts?
See, the fun in markets is that once you've identified a bubble, while the bubble is on, you make a lot of money. So chances are that microfinance is that, a new sector which people don't have much exposure to, and these stocks probably will become multiples of where they are before, the bubble is burst and things start to go wrong. So definitely on all corrections, SKS, Mahindra and Mahindra Financial, even Bajaj Finance, between this 7300, 7500 zone, if you can get it, I think much higher levels to go. Everybody will own them. That is when things become over owned and they start to decline. I think still ways to go for that point to come.
Okay, by the way, I just want to point out the stock that's really spiking right now is Tata Motors on the back of very good sales that they reported. Once again, bumper sales in UK. So the JLR UK sales are up. Look at that intraday chart there. Sudden spike up there. UK sales up 36% and Jaguar, both Jaguar and Land Rover have done very well. By the way, Tata Motors is now just about ready to hit its, I think it has hit its fresh 52-week high. Okay, the 52-week high is 464.9 and it's at 464.7. So yes, we are just, quibbling about points.
There
you have it, 465. So that is a fresh 52-week high on Tata Motors and it's been a brilliant